Hi you guys, welcome to target number 3, our last target in this first unit of review on expressions. So today we're going to combine like terms. So first off, in class together we watched the video Mad TV Fast Food Ordering. This is a great video for an introduction to combining like terms and kind of gives you an idea of why it might be important to combine like terms in math. So if you get a second, go ahead and Google Mad TV Fast Food Ordering for a little laugh. So first thing we want to do is just look at this picture and come up with some things that we notice about like terms versus unlike terms. So in class together we paused and we did some noticing and we shared with each other some things that we noticed about what makes things like terms versus unlike terms. And the things we came up with were have like terms. So we'll see here we have an X and an X, a Y and a Y, a W and a W, and that makes those like terms. But to go a step further, because I notice we have W and a W here, and these are unlike terms. So if I back up here, I see 3 and 7 are not the same exponent, therefore these are not like terms. First off, you have to have the same variables. We also have to have the same exponent. So a few kind of hints for us and helpful tips as we start. It's helpful to draw like shapes around your like terms so that you know what to combine. You also should, as you look at your simplified answer, only have one term of each kind left in your answer. So let's look at some level ones. First off, anywhere I see a minus here, I'm going to go ahead and change this to a plus negative to make our combining a little bit easier on us. So here's our first problem. I see 10 x's and negative 4 x's give me 6 x's, and then plus 3 more x's give me 9x. So 9x is as simple as this expression gets when we combine each of the like terms. Now notice as I'm circling here, I'm circling the sign in front of my variable. The next one here, again, let's change any minus signs to plus negative. This typically makes it easier to determine if we're adding or subtracting these. So minus 3y, let's make plus negative 3y. Now I notice some like terms here. I notice 13y's and negative 3y's. So 13y plus negative 3y gives us 10y plus 2x's. And we can't combine any further because these are different variables, so we cannot combine them. They are not like terms. Okay, next one again, let's go ahead and make any minuses plus negative. So we'll have plus negative 3y plus 12x plus negative 7y. So our like terms here. We'll start with our x's. 21x plus 12x's gives me 33x's. Next we have a negative 3y plus a negative 7y, which gives us negative 10y. Can't combine any further because x and y are not the same variable. All right, on to some level 2s. So now we got to look out for any, we need to look for not just variables that are the same, but also exponents that are the same. So as we look at this first problem here, again, let's go ahead and make any minuses plus negatives. So we'll have 2x squared plus 3y plus negative 4x squared plus negative 5y plus 3x. Super long problem here. All right, let's start with our x squareds. Do we see any other x squareds? I see 2x squareds, negative 4x squareds. So 2x squareds get 4 smaller, brings us to negative 2x squareds. Now I see a 3x, but I don't see any other x's, so let's add that next, plus 3x. And finally a different shape here, plus 3y and a negative 5y, if we combine those, give us negative 2y. All right, let's try our next one. So again, any minuses we see, we're going to go ahead and make plus negative to start. So negative 5y cubed plus 6y plus negative 4y squared plus 10y cubed plus 9y squared plus negative 8y. So let's start with our cubes here. Any other y cubes? I see one here. So negative 5y cubed, get 10 bigger, gives us 5y cubed. Next, let's take care of our y squareds. I see one here, negative 4y squared and 9y squared gives us 5y squareds. And we'll double underline here our y is 6y, take away 8y is negative 2y. So we look at our answers. I have all the same variables here, but since these are different exponents, I can't combine these. All right, and our last one, I'm going to move this one up above here for a little more room. Actually, we'll come down here. So any minuses, we're going to make plus negative. So 3a squared plus 2a plus 5 plus negative a squared plus 4a. So let's start with our squareds. 3a squared plus negative a squared gives 2a squareds. 2a, positive 2a plus 4a is 6a, and plus 5 is left. Again, I don't have any other like terms in my answer, so we know we're done. Now a quick little review on the distributive property. You definitely covered this in middle school math too, but it's great to come back to it as we look at this in some of our level 3 problems. So anything outside of the parenthesis, we are going to distribute into our parentheses. So it needs to go to each of the pieces inside the parentheses. And we have to be careful with the signs here again as we do that. So the goal, why we use distributive property, is to get rid of those parentheses. So let's remind ourselves how distributive property works. We're going to take whatever is outside of the parentheses, so in this case 3. We'll go 3x plus 6, so we're multiplying those values. Here, I'm going to go ahead and always write my minus as a plus negative to start. We're going to take that 2 and distribute it to both places. 2 times x and 2 times negative 4 is negative 8. So this is just a reminder of how to do the distributive property. Now we're actually going to look at our level 3 problems, which have us distribute and simplify on most of these. So let's look at our first one here. We have negative 4, and we're multiplying this through the parentheses. So negative 4 times m, and then negative 4 times positive 5 is negative 20. We've simplified that all the way. This one I see a minus inside. Let's go ahead and make that a plus negative. So 2 times 3 gives us 6. 2 times negative w is negative 2w. And that is as much as we can simplify this one. And our last one here, we see just a negative out front. Now we can think of this like a negative 1 that is being multiplied through our parentheses. So we have a negative 1 times a negative 2, which gives us a positive 2. And then a negative 1 times a positive h, which gives us a negative h. And that is as simplified as this problem gets. Versus these problems we just did, is once we distributed on these last problems, we were done. All right, last couple level 3s here. So first off, what we want to do on these problems is get rid of these parentheses by using distributive property. So I notice as I see this distributive problem here, the 4 is what's outside of my parentheses. So that is the number that needs to go through. So I'm going to leave my 2x, and then I'm going to have plus 4 times x is distributing, and 4 times 2, which is 8. Now we'll notice the difference in these problems here. Now as we come back to this problem, we'll actually see we have a 2x and a 4x, which are like terms. And 2x's plus 4x's is 6x. And a plus 8. Now this is as simplified as it gets. All right, our next one, 3x squared plus 2x plus 5. I'm just going to make this a plus negative here. And then we'll notice that our 5 is what's outside of the parentheses. It's a positive 5, and that's being distributed through. So my first few things, 3x squared and plus 2x, don't change. Positive 5 goes through as plus 5x, and then positive 5 times a negative 1 is a negative 5. Now we'll combine our like terms where we can. So I have a 3x squared, no other squareds, so that's going to be by itself. 2x's plus 5x's is 7x. And then I have a minus 5 on the end. So that's as simplified as this one gets. And our last problem here. Again, wherever I see a minus sign, I want to go ahead and start by making this a plus negative. So we'll make this minus a plus negative 5 and a 4 plus negative x. Now as I look at this problem, I have a negative 5 that's being multiplied through. So we'll start by, we've got our 2 out front, plus negative 5 times positive 4 is negative 20. Negative 5 times negative x, see how this is a negative here, gives us a positive 5x. Now my like terms are 2 and negative 20 give me negative 18 plus 5x, and I cannot combine any further. Now a couple of problems you'll see on your practice. I want us to know sometimes we can combine a few extra variables. So in some of our practice we might see something like 2xy plus 7xy. Since our variables are the same, if I add 2 and 7, I get 9 xy's. I could also see something like 2x squared y plus 12x squared y. Since x squared y is the same here, my variables and my exponents are the same, I can combine those to get 14x squared y. So again, our definition here is we're looking for the same variables and the same exponents.